If you want to be a part of breaking a world record, I have now pinned a poster on my Twitter on how to apply to be one of the 1,000 guys to be with me in 24 hours.
So today we're going to be continuing coverage on the Lilly Philips situation. Now, if you've seen my previous video, you will know that Lilly Philips is an OF model who basically made it her lifelong ambition to bonk 100 men in one go, and it seemed that after she did it, she wasn't too happy. In my previous video, I actually stopped the documentary before she broke down in tears. She just said some quite concerning things regarding how she felt about having slept with that many people in one go. But it seems we have ventured further and further into degeneracy, and she has now set a new goal to sleep with 1,000 people. So I'm going to be looking at that today, because there's a few things to say, there's a few thoughts to give. That's about it, really.
And it just took definitely a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. I think it was when it was only like 40 and I was like, I'm not even halfway yet.
Yeah.
And 40 is still a lot of people. Like, imagine 40 people and be like, I'm not even halfway, like, done.
Yeah, so this is what we didn't finish last time, but she basically goes on to talk about how she only got to 40 out of 100 and she was already feeling like I mean, you got to imagine yourself right now sat at home, what it would feel like to have with 40 people in a row. Like, that is insane. 40 alone is insane. 4 is insane, let alone 40. And to get to 40 and realize, oh, I've only got 60 people left. When you're already starting to feel a bit terrible, and powering on through just for the money is definitely a new low, and some form of self-harm. Like, it's got to be some form of self-hatred.
It's not for the weak, girls, if I'm honest. It was hard.
But
I don't know if I'd recommend it.
why not?
I think if you're a different type of girl, it's very like, it's kind of like being a prostitute in a sense of like, it's just a different feeling. I don't know how to explain it, like...
So already we're getting a sense that the decision she made potentially wasn't the best for her. She literally says that she wouldn't recommend it and that it's not for the weak. That's not a good sign already, I'm going to be honest. You shouldn't be feeling like that after any type of intimacy. There is no reason you should come out feeling that way. But yeah, let's see what else she has to say.
Not like just having sex with someone.
Yeah. Just one in, one out, like it feels intense.
Like more intense than you thought it might.
Definitely.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay. Just take
Yeah, 1 minute.
Genuinely, when I first saw this, my initial reaction, and still is my reaction now, would be that anybody involved in the production of this, her PA, for example, who's behind the scenes kind of helping out and organising who gets to sleep with her, they are perhaps the scum of the earth, really, because I cannot imagine being in a position where I help my female friend do this, or even a male friend, you know, to reverse the roles. I would never ever do this or put anybody through this. I know a lot of people are saying, but she had the choice to do it, she had the choice, and that's fine, okay? We can say that because, yes, ultimately she is an adult woman who made that choice. However, I don't think that necessarily means that we are having to void ourselves of any sympathy for her, because it is clear that she has a lot going on internally. And I know for her that may be annoying, having people kind of speculate on whether she's got mental health problems or not, but realistically, to come out of that situation crying, and then, as we're about to see, go on and say she wants to do it again after saying that she doesn't recommend it, you've got something going on within you, to be polite. She also says about how it's basically similar to being a and I think if you can acknowledge that, which I would agree, although there isn't a direct money transaction in this situation, she is kind of admitting that the only reason she's doing it for is money and fame, which is really interesting because a lot of people like to equate this decision that she's made to, you know, feminism and liberal feminism and liberation of, you know, women's sexuality. But I don't really think that is the case at all, especially when you've got her saying that she is doing it ultimately for the money, because that's what prostitution is, and she says that herself. And now I feel like a lot of people will say, yeah, but like she said, it was intense, she's still recovering from that decision, like all the emotions were heightened, so she probably didn't mean all this. I would argue that you are the most emotionally raw after a traumatic experience, so you are going to say everything that you are fully thinking and feeling. And I would then also argue that to go on the next day and think you're over it is also a sign of just trauma. I mean, she admits that she disassociated after like a certain amount of men, which is a literal trauma response. It is you have people all the time talking about how they go through some form of sexual trauma, and people forget that sexual trauma does not have to be that someone has forced themselves on you. That isn't always the case of sexual trauma. So people saying that it was her choice does not mean that this isn't going to cause sexual trauma. And if you think that it wouldn't, you've got severe issues, you know? So her disassociating because of that really isn't that insane. And she admits that herself. She admits that she left her own mind and her own body to help deal with a situation. And it's even more sad because Lilly often talks about the sympathy she has for the men, and you can she puts the men in high value. She cares about them, and it's so sad. It's really sad, and not even a mean way, but she talks about how she feels guilty because they didn't get enough time with her. And it's like, girl, you are doing the most for the least. These men are scum. So many people were commenting on my last video being like, it's her choice, and how is it the men's fault that they take an opportunity? Men will take any opportunity a lot of the time. Any opportunity given to them, they will take. She was disassociating, right? Imagine having, this is going to be brutal, but imagine having sex with somebody who is disassociating and still managing to enjoy it, and then complaining that you didn't get enough time with them. These men need to be put on a register. And if you are one of the people who gets offended by that notion, then you too should probably be put on a register.
And be like, I'm so sorry you got to go, and the awkward interaction of you feeling pressure to have to make them come if you haven't spent enough time with them, and feeling like they didn't, you didn't give them a good time because they only got 2 minutes.
And that's what's making you feel emotional, is that maybe you think you didn't give some guys a good enough time today?
Yeah. Okay, obviously I'm not her. All right, I'm not her, so this is only my opinion and I guess an insight to what I'm seeing here. But I don't believe that. I do think she feels pressured, and I think that is what is making her upset. But I don't fully believe that all the tears are as a result of feeling guilty that they didn't get enough time. I think that is a slight cop-out for the fact that she doesn't want to admit that she is traumatized. Again, I'm not her, so I don't know, but unless that is genuinely the reason, which is also low-key really sad. I mean, what I'm trying to say is I'm not saying that she doesn't feel guilty about the lack of time that they had, or she didn't feel pressured, because that is very much an element to this. I mean, the fact that she's saying she felt guilty that they might not have came, instead of putting her own feelings first after having sex with so many people at once, her own concern isn't the fact that she's disassociating from herself. It's, I haven't got to make these men come, they're going to be disappointed. But I think an element of that is also she's using that as a scapegoat to not just admit the fact that she is low-key just a little bit traumatized. Again, I'm not her, I don't know, but I feel like that would make a lot more sense.
I think having the interactions with them when they're like, what, you're not going to make me finish, I've come all this way, guilt tripping me a little bit.
Again, there is literally another reason why these men need to be put up against a wall, because why on earth would you see a girl that you know, by the way, because you applied, is having sex with loads of men that day and get mad that you didn't get enough time? The entitlement of these men, the audacity that some of these gentlemen have. I mean, you're already a scuzzer because you actually apply for this. I don't think any sane man is doing that. Yeah, that's f***ing insane. And again, I'm not saying that she isn't upset about kind of that pressure, because it is already a massive problem in society where a lot of women feel pressure because they feel like they can't end this interaction with the man because of what they're going to think and feel. I think every woman has been there, and many men have been there. It is a pretty universal thing for both genders. I would say specifically it does happen more with women and men, in terms of, I think women often do feel a lot more pressured by men, and that kind of again links back to society and people's use and women feeling like they have to perform. But overall, it's just a very sad thing to see.
I think sometimes feeling so robotic, by the 30th, when we're getting on a bit, I've got a routine of how we're going to do this, and it just sometimes she'd like disassociate and be like, you know, like it's not like normal sex at all. In my head right now, I can think of like 5, 6 guys, 10 guys that I remember.
So yeah, I mean, again, that's not a normal reaction because it's not a normal situation. But the fact that many men have driven that far is enough reason why you should not give a shit. And it's kind of scary because it's giving me, it's really getting clear that she doesn't know how to say no or listen to her body or listen to her mind or her mental health. And, you know, when you get someone, especially a young woman who does not know how to listen to her body, does not know how to say no, doesn't know how to, you know, not just do things because you feel like you have to, this is a recipe for disaster. Especially considering she's now planning on having with 1,000 men. I think there's quite a few issues with this. I mean, the internet alone was really split when this came out. You've got one side of the internet obviously saying, her, she chose to do it, why should we sympathise, it was her decision, this is what you get, all the typical, you know, absolutely heartless responses from people who can't really have any form of nuance. And then you've got the people like me who can acknowledge that yes, it was her decision, but also doesn't mean I'm not going to feel sympathy, doesn't mean I'm not going to see her as a victim to the industry, because at this point it's like boiling a frog. You've got to go outside of your way to do extreme things to even be noticed anymore. I mean, it's a perfect representation of the internet as a whole, but when it comes to the sex work side of the internet, that's a really harmful recipe for some serious issues, especially when it comes to women competing against other women to get more and more shocking content. I mean, after she's done this 1,000 men thing, if she does, what is actually next? What do we have next that is going to shock people? And again, this is why my views still stand on. If you think isn't a problem, then you're probably stupid. The only good thing I would say that's come from this good is that I think it's really driven people to start becoming more vocal about the industry. I mean, I for one, like even a month ago, this conversation was not being had half as much. I've done all of these videos and a lot of the time I was terrified to talk about the industry because everyone's so fast to call you a misogynist, to call you a rad femme, to call you a TERF as soon as you start saying that you don't think work is liberating for women. But I am happy that this is opening up discussions. I do wish that the internet would be a little bit more respectful, because obviously you've got the side of the internet that just goes, get what you deserve, keep crying. And again, I mean, that's the perfect representation of how people view women in general. Woman's choice, so there we are. That's what she gets for having that choice. So in response to people saying women having a choice is liberation, you're f***ing dumb. Like, you've got tunnel vision, and it is actually boring to hear. I even in my other videos about porn got comments basically saying that we've had porn around since the dawn of time, as if that is literally any point to prove. Like, what does that mean? There are plenty of things that have been around for a really, really long time that aren't good. So nice try, I guess.
Are you still planning to do what I've called the 1,000 man challenge?
The man challenge. Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah. So my assistant's currently going through the 5,000 applications we have.
I said this before, but your assistant's a scumbag. I'm pretty sure her assistant is a friend. And I'm sorry, but if you are partaking in the organisation of this, like it's a f***ing business meeting, you are probably a degenerate. I mean, I get they're getting paid for this as well, which is even more ridiculous. You're getting paid to contribute to ultimately the downfall of this woman, because I mean, look at all the people that have come out of the industry that have ended up committing suicide or harming themselves because they finally end up having everything catch up with them mentally and they realize that they feel like pure doo-doo. Now, I'm not saying that is the case for Lilly. She genuinely, could get through her entire life enjoying this and not seeing the problem with it. And if that's the case, I'm not going to say great, that's good. It would be ideal that she would just not do this, but it would be nice to not have her suffer from any severe mental health problems after this finally does, mentally catch up with her.
It will take place in England.
Yeah.
They'll be getting, honestly, as quick as possible in, out.
I just want a conveyor belt.
And this is another point that I wanted to talk about that I think was a really interesting talking point when you have people saying that this is for her pleasure, this is for her, you know, liberation and stuff. At this point, she labels the situation as a conveyor belt of men. Can you explain, I mean, all the women watching, right? Can we all just take a moment to, I guess, try and explain how having one man in, one man out can possibly be pleasurable for you? Physically, I don't think the woman's body responds in a pleasurable way to have one man come in, stick in his genitals, take out his genitals, and then have the next man come in. How is that pleasurable? So what I think she's saying is that mentally she can take pleasure from it somehow for a certain amount of time. You know, some people are into that. Some people, you know, that's why gangbang is a thing. But I don't think you can say in any way, shape or form that this is pleasurable for you, especially when it comes to having 1,000 men, because considering you were disassociating after the 30th, can you explain how the next 970 men is pleasurable for you? And considering you know yourself, you're going to have to power through it, how is that female liberation? How is it liberating and pleasurable for your body to have to go into disassociation for you to get through that many men? How is that How is it liberating when those men are the same men that are going, oh, I only got 30 seconds, well, I travelled all this way whilst watching you disassociate and probably not really be enjoying yourself? How is that liberation? I would argue liberation, female liberation is going to have sex with whoever you want. I don't give a f*** about that. You want to go have sex, go have sex. I have my potential opinions on whether it's good for you mentally to go out and have sex with that many people, but how is having sex with 1,000 people and filming it for money and then caring about their opinion when they're butthurt about it, how is that liberating? You want female pleasure, you want liberation, you go have sex, girl. People talking to me in my comments like I don't want women to enjoy sex, that I don't want women to be sexual. I don't care about that. Go have sex. I've people acting like I'm saying that women shouldn't enjoy sex, like I'm like, cover your ankles, girl. Cover your ankles. Like I'm criticizing women for just being sexual. I don't give a f***. Go and have sex. But you cannot convince me. And like, even when people try and convince me that this is liberating, I just see you and I think you're stupid, to be honest. Not to be patronising, but I just see your comment and I think you're stupid.
We're hoping to get it done a lot before the 24 hours. We're maybe thinking most it'll be 17 hours.
So I saw the video of after you did the 100.
Yeah.
And you actually seemed quite distressed.
I was extremely overwhelmed. It was very, very intense.
See, my opinion here is that she just backtracks and she doesn't want to accept that. Like, listen to what she said back at the start. It's like, it's intense. She doesn't recommend it and she disassociated. Does that sound like a liberating female experience? Does that sound like you were enjoying it? No. It doesn't. And I sound like I'm getting irritated, but I'm irritated at society for seeing this and automatically blaming her and having no sympathy. I'm irritated for her that she's going to go and do this again. I'm concerned for her. I feel sorry for her. And I hate the fact that when women and men come online and defend her, she's then going out and doing it again. And I will still defend her. But there is an element of it where it's like she is just feeding the people that are saying horrible shit, like, oh, she deserves it and it's her choice, because it's like, it is difficult to sit there and say that you don't really want to do this when she is doing it, because then it makes you look like an arsehole for trying to tell a woman what she does not want to do. I'm just saying she probably actually isn't wanting to do it because of what she said in her last video and how upset she looked.
As soon as we finished that, camera crew came in and started probing me with questions. It was very stressful.
I mean, yeah, I can agree that it's probably quite a lot to have a camera crew in your face after you've just had sex with 100 people. But what I would also argue is that I feel like you didn't just finish that day and say that you found it intense. You finished that day and you described exactly why you felt terrible. And those are the reasons that a lot of people are concerned for you about. If you had just finished and gone, God, I'm tired, like, and you were crying because you're just like exhausted, but it wasn't like that. The vibe wasn't like that. The tone of what you were saying wasn't like that. And I do agree that, you know, the cameramen there probably didn't help, but you probably would have felt that way with or without the camera crew there. The camera crew just kind of provoked a response from you, which is the entire point of a documentary. And I feel like you being questioned made you think a lot more about it. And because you know, as you said, you disassociate, you were made to think about it. You were made to come back and not be disassociating about the experience, which is why you ended up crying.
It was super overwhelming, a super long, hard, stressful day. And then the camera crew probing me with questions for an hour. You know, Like that was kind of, if I'm honest, I wish I'd kind of set a boundary, but because that was kind of the last thing I wanted, was just someone hammering me with questions after completing a really long, hard day. It's personally not how I would have told the narrative.
Well, yeah, obviously you're going to say that because you don't like the fact that it exposed the situation for being a really depressing and really scary and sad and dark and reflective scenario that is just not meant to happen. You know, your body's not built for that. Clearly, mentally, you weren't okay with that. So I don't think it's kind of crazy for the documentary to have been made like that. I think I would have been a lot more upset if the documentary was made to look like this was just a bit of a laugh, like a lot of podcasts do, because it's not. And obviously, it doesn't help you being portrayed in this light, because I think a lot less people are likely to go and get your OF after they've seen you break down in tears. Well, I say that actually. Honestly, I don't think a lot of men really give a shit based off of the experiences that you've had with some of these men who do not care whether you are tired or not. I don't think they really care if you're crying or not. But yeah, of course you're going to say that. I don't know. So she's recently done another interview with Mail News, which I think is just Daily Mail Online, where she talked about her plans to go through with the 1,000 men thing, which I think is a mistake. But again, it's her decision. It's her life.
I want to be the first person to be with 1,000 guys in one day.
And are you daunted by this?
No, not really. I'm quite excited. Obviously, it's stressful with all the logistics of things, but it's not daunting.
And I think what the really scary thing is she genuinely now doesn't seem to be, well, she claims that she's not scared or it's not daunting, which I find really hard to believe when the last time you did this and it was 1/10 of the amount, you felt the way you did after. So it is really hard to believe that you don't actually find it daunting. And the only reason I can possibly think that you may not be scared is because you aren't, again, registering what decision you're about to make.
How long are you going to spend with each man?
In out, I'm hoping a couple seconds at most. We're hoping for some other girls there, make it a bit of an event.
Yeah, again, as I said before, to the people that want to argue that it's pleasurable for her, having a in and out of you, like someone coming in, one coming out, another one going, is not physically pleasurable. Like biologically, the way we are built, that is not physically what? And like an event, like this is something like it's the Olympics. It's not the Olympics. It that is insane. And like hoping to have other girls there, like, can we not drag other women into this? Can we not make it something that other girls think that they should be doing? Because this is already insane enough.
And your family are very supportive of what you're doing. Your mum does your finances.
Yeah.
Your dad's pretty cool about it. Your brother's supportive. Have you had much back chat from other people?
Definitely people online, but at the end of the day, I don't know these people, so why would I care about their opinion?
And would you consider yourself, I mean, do you find this empowering? Do you consider yourself a feminist?
100%.
So, yeah, I mean, a couple things there. She starts off by saying that her mum is involved. Now, her mum does her finances, which, I mean, you know, a mum helping her daughter with finances is absolutely no problem. A mum, however, being okay with her daughter doing this is absolutely insane. I remember Lily saying to Candace Owens, it was, like, what do you want my mum to do? Like, completely abandon me? Like, no, obviously not. But your mum should be talking you out of this. This is insane. This is nuts. Obviously, no mother is going to encourage their daughter to do OF full stop, but most mothers would not even like allow or like they wouldn't just let you without trying to convince you have sex with 100 men and then see you get upset and then go, yeah, go do it for 1,000, Lily. Like anything for you, my girl. And the only reason I can think that your mum would be okay with that is if she's getting monetary gain. And I mean, even if she's not, like, your mum is a sicko, to be honest. And I'm sure she hates the fact that her mum gets hate. I mean, I remember Bonnie Blue talking about how she regrets bringing her mother onto this morning to do an interview because her mum got loads of hate, rightfully so. But the fact that your mum is involved in you doing something that is mentally not good for you and physically not good for you is just insane, and she is a poor excuse of a mum. And secondly, you saying that this is empowering and you know, that she's a feminist, because Lily there herself says, I consider myself a feminist. Please shut up, okay? Please don't do this. I've spoke about this enough, but you don't know how damaging it is to say that this is empowerment and that you're a feminist for doing this. You may think you are a feminist. You may carry other feminist beliefs, although I don't really see how you do when this is the thing that you do. I mean, a lot of people talk about liberal feminism. It's not feminism. If you're a liberal feminist, you're not a feminist. You are an idiot, actually, and you suck. You suck. Because liberal feminism is just a stupid thing invented by idiots, okay, to kind of just pretend that because you have the freedom to go and sell your body online, it means that you are now liberated by that choice to do so, which is stupid. And there are many, many arguments that I have already made about that, which no one can ever debunk other than saying, but it's her choice, it's her choice. Yeah, I'm not trying to stop her having the choice, but you will not call it feminism, my guy. You on feminism by saying that. And you know, you think of the feminists that literally died, right, in the name of equal rights. I don't think you having sex with 1,000 men is feminist. And when I say that, you know what people say? They go, so you want to take us backwards by spewing all this purist nonsense? Oh, please tell me you don't actually think that. Please tell me you don't think we're actually moving forward by having with 1,000 men in one go, and then having the men not care about you when you are upset and disassociating, and having the men complain that they didn't get enough time with you. You think that's moving us forwards, do you? Do you? You're stupid, all right? And I don't want to hear it, to be honest. But yeah, in conclusion, insanity. Obviously, I feel bad for Lilly Philips. I think she is a victim of an ever-growing industry that is only going to get worse and worse, because after she's done 1,000 men, what is next? Not just for her, though. This is the thing a lot of people say, but it's her choice. What about the other 18-year-old girls who start OF and realise, oh, well, I can't just get by now, you know, selling pictures of my for £5.99. What am I going to do to get up there and get people's attention? How do you beat 1,000 men? How do you beat sleeping with freshers and schoolies? How do you beat doing sexual things in front of your father? How do you beat all this? You can't. So we're going to get more and more into the depths of insanity before we get more and more girls trying out things, and then we'll get other girls that are less mentally capable and will end up harming themselves. And then you guys tell me how that is looking after women and feminism. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed today's video, subscribe. We've started to talk a lot about OF recently on this channel, and I get so many messages of people telling me that they appreciate my videos about it and that it's helping them. I've had a lot of men actually come to me and say that my video on has helped them stop watching it, and I am genuinely so happy to hear that a lot of people are kind of making a change, both for women and for themselves. So yeah, it's good to see this conversation is getting spoke about, and hopefully it just grows and grows, and eventually this kind of behavior is not just seen as marketing and a little bit of fun, and most of all as liberal feminism. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.